Welcome to Makers International, a podcast of makers from 3 countries, 2 continents, and featuring 5 guys separated only by the same language. Here's your host, Richard Morley.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good times, whatever time it is, wherever you're listening. Joined with me as always, Mr. Chris Q.
How you doing, everybody?
Mr. Joe Whitaker.
You're right, Sam, yeah.
Jamie Page.
Hello.
And loads of other people. We've got Soph, Berkey, Laffy, Twiddles, and Red Smith. So,
Twiddles!
All right, Em, yeah.
all right, Em, yeah. Yeah, Chris obviously hasn't got that memo just yet. It'd be probably in your Instagram inbox or something like that. I haven't done any shout-outs this week. I haven't got the live feed in front of me. In fact, basically, I am just praying that the connection holds. I'm currently sat in the Dandy with Soph and Kat on the road trip. It's been a blast. I've been too busy and having too much fun with Soph in her workshop with all her new toys to actually be bothered to do any research or background prep for this. So we're going to skip most of the stuff, like random list of questions and all that jazz, because it's our 100th episode. We're all great. You're fun, even more so listening, and we're just going to talk. What are we talking about?
Whatever you'd like.
I want to go back to Soaps and play on with a lathe. So I'm done. That's it.
All right, great work. Thanks.
We can quickly mention the sponsors if you want.
Yeah, we probably should do. Actually, do you want to do that, Jamie? Because you are the sponsor man.
I can do it, and I'll obviously, since it's the 100th show, I'll do it without notes, unlike you.
Yes.
We can. We've got to give the first sponsor is Glyn over at Yorkshire Grit, the abrasive paste. You can go to that at yorkshire-grit.com. Then you've got Chad over at Mancrafting, giving us his Mancrafting cups every month. You go to mancraftingtm.com or I like to make cups.com. And then you've also got Pam from Highland Boxes as a sponsor. So yeah, for all our details, you can go over to makersinternationalpodcast.com/sponsors. Is that right, Richard?
Sounds good to me. As long as they don't confuse it with makerscentral.co.uk, they'll be fine.
Exactly.
Wait, Andy, we are in need of a public service. Andy, in case you don't know it, tonight has already been designated the public service announcement coordinator. So, Andy, if you want to hold up your first public service announcement, you have to speak while you do it. So if you don't mind, just,
Reminder, you are here of your own free will. Thank you, the management.
We are tracking your IP addresses, so if you click off, we'll know.
That's just our way of right off the bat letting you know that we're not responsible. You decided to watch this, and so if you don't like it, then that's your fault. Okay.
There's people watching?
I have to admit, I never thought we'd get to 10 episodes, let alone 100. So we are... The script was left long ago.
Well, you know what? Oh. This is what's wrong with an unregulated and free internet. Right here and right now. This is the problem.
Well, actually, Alan and Jason between them haven't even got to 10 episodes. I've got to 100 episodes. I've got 100% attendance.
Richard has a 98, and I have a 98 as well. So Jamie is the only one who's been here for 100 episodes. So, Jamie, I guess this is your party. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Jamie. Like 40 seconds in the car, though.
I still turn up.
I wouldn't care.
I was still here.
I swear to God. I mean, Jamie,
Richard done an episode from his van.
You and your perfect attendance reminds me of when I was in grade school and of the A student that when the report cards came out would cry if they got a B. I hated those people. I mean, do you remember that when you were in grade school? Oh, yeah. And you had these straight A students and they'd get a B and they'd cry. And you were sitting there looking at a D plus and going, freaking yeah, I flew by. It's all right.
If I got a B, my mother would slap me because she wanted to know who I cheated off of. You never wanted to come home with an A because you couldn't explain it quick enough. Like, oh, I really tried. Like, no, you didn't. You're stupid, and you cheated off your neighbor, didn't you? Like,
yes.
That may have happened.
That happened every report card. So, thanks, Mom and Dad.
Love you.
So Chris, how about next week we don't send Jamie the link?
No, that would. No.
I'll find a way of getting in.
You would find a way.
So if you're due next week as well, does that mean you get 101% attendance?
Yeah, that's how it works.
No,
That works for my math.
That's
guys,
how
I
percentages work. Yep.
I don't know. My math class says no. That's not how it works. But I mean, hey, I'm willing to rock and roll with anything. This new math already has me screwed up. So what the hell?
Wait, did you just say my math class says?
My math class said, or the math class said that I went to. I said that wasn't 101%.
No, we're not buying that, buddy.
Okay, all right. Hey, whatever.
Everybody knows that maths has an S at the end. Maths.
You know what? We should take this thing off.
I know
talking
that
More than one.
All right,
I know they
all
use
right.
the metric system over there in Europe, and then in the United States they use the imperial. But like, what do they use in Connecticut?
All right,
It's got to be different, right?
They use it in
extra
metric.
fingers.
Look, you bunch of pagans. Well, what we should probably freaking do is start this off, and I want to talk about the coolest thing that I have seen all week long. And Richard, I hope your internet is holding out, because I want you to tell everybody about Soph and what this community did for her and how everything went with that. Because just in case somebody has not been aware, there has been a movement to help Soph out for a while. But Richard, you take it from there and explain to everybody what has gone on this weekend with you and her. And don't make that kinky, okay? I'm just talking.
His wife said.
Who's doing? I think I'll do the edit for this one then. Well, first and foremost, I want to point out to anyone who might think they know what's actually happened, in so much as it wasn't down to me. My involvement was purely circumstantial. It was actually Steve Twidell and Jamie Page that put this together. In so much as there's been a collective get-together of too many people for me to be able to read the list, let alone remember off the top of my head, have all pulled together, and we've managed to get, or they've managed to get Sophie a new lathe, some tools, and basically some bits and pieces to get her on the bridge turning, which you've actually been doing today, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
from about 5 o'clock in her pajamas, I might add.
Awesome.
In addition to that, the group raised a pool of money with the intention of buying her a lathe, but we managed to go one step further, and we contacted Axminster Tools here in the UK, and they've actually basically sponsored Soph and given her the items which we were looking to purchase on her behalf. So she's actually got all the lathe and all the tools and all that, and a pool of money to spend on whatever she wants, to glue sticks, glittery glue sticks, spare glue sticks, reserve glue sticks, and probably like a
new glue gun.
A new glue gun or something like that, to doing whatever she needs to do so she can start churning some stuff out, putting it out on Etsy, and funding for the mini makers and her projects and all the rest of it. And that's what has happened with the community. That's what the community's done. The fact that I was lucky enough, purely by circumstance, to be visiting Soph this weekend, and we tied it in with our visit. So what we did is we took her down to the shop, unbeknown to her.
Never been there before.
Literally, I'm not joking. The Axminster store in Cardiff is like 5 minutes from your house. I think if you climbed over her fence, went through the neighbour's cat flap, and across the back street, you'd be in their till point. It's literally that close, and she didn't even know it was there. So we took her to the store under the pretense of doing a little bit of filming for the road trip and picking up a few bits and pieces for me. And what they'd done, the store was all in on it. They knew what was going to happen, and they'd laid all these things out for her on a table, a bit like you'd have like a display, like a turning starter display on this big table. And the manager just met us at the door and was like, "Oh, hi, yeah, we need to get this." Showed us around a bit and walked Soph past the lathe, where she stopped and went, "Oh, that's nice," and took a picture of it. And I jokingly said to her, "Yeah, do you like that?" She said, "Oh, yeah." I said, "Do you want one?" She goes, "Oh, I'd love one." And the manager's like, "Well, there you go then, it's yours on behalf of Axminster. You can take it home now." And
I had to stop him, and I was like, "Are you serious? Are you absolutely serious right now?" And you had to explain the whole thing to me at least 6 times
Yeah,
throughout yesterday and today. Again.
We currently there is a live reveal. Literally, I went live on the group of the people that chipped in. So that on Facebook within the group, if you were part of this, then it's on the. Is it the Make It?
Yeah, I can download that and actually put it up on another page or on my page if you want, or you can put it on your page, whatever you want.
Yeah,
I think Richard's the only one that can download it because he posted it because it's in a private group.
Well,
yeah, I think admin can do it as well. I think, I'm not sure, but anyway, yeah.
If you're able to do it, Steve, and get it out there, because I'm not going to be. I don't know how to do it personally. I know it's possible, but we'll get it out. But to watch the video, it's absolutely hilarious. But we sat at the table afterwards, explaining to Soph,
shaking like this.
You didn't cry. That was the only thing that didn't go to plan, was the fact that you didn't
Honestly,
cry.
I think there are moments in your life that you will recall forever, and that will be one of them, because I'm still shocked now. I think I'll still be shocked next week, next year. Just literally completely surreal. And like, I had to wake up this morning and check my pictures on my phone that yesterday even happened, because I was just so gobsmacked. And I'm not going to cry, but genuinely,
go on, cry.
Thank you. Shut up.
Go on, cry. We demand you to cry.
Literally,
just a little tear.
Amazing. No,
Sophie, Sophie,
Do it.
I think we can all say this, Sophie. We love you. We love you so much.
We do.
Big hug, Sophie.
Loads, and the whole community does, Soph.
Yeah, we all love you, Sophie. Watch the chat, Soph. Everybody saying they love you.
Wait, well, I wanted to tell a story about when I was a young 15-year-old girl and I walked past my first lathe. And now,
Andy, can you sing old Shep first, please?
Bear with me on this one, because this takes me back. But there was Carmine. I'm sorry.
As a reminder, you are here of your own free will.
I'll be back. I'm getting the vapors.
Could I just
You're an asshole. I don't care.
Could I just add, before we go off the subject of the fabulous and well-loved Soph, that if it wasn't for Chris Fisher and Nicola, I don't think we would have probably got the contact that we did with Axminster as well. So I'd just like to say thanks a lot to Chris, because he was a big part of it behind the scenes. Chris Fisher is the blind woodturner, for those that don't know him.
Absolutely, and he's an awesome guy too. He's an awesome guy. We had him on the podcast not long ago. And Laffy, if you don't take that shark's head off, I may slap you myself.
And I need it so people can't see the tears.
Well, just while I think about it, actually, Steve, you mentioned Chris. You're absolutely right. He made a big part of this happen, but he's going to be at the Axminster store in Cardiff in November 3rd. I suspect Soph will be there. So if anyone listening or anyone knows anyone that lives in the South Wales area, go down and support Chris and support the store and support Soph, because when these companies support us as makers, if we don't support the companies supporting the makers, the companies won't support the makers. They will just trade with the public. So it is a two-way street.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Richard, you took the words out of my mouth on that one. I think it's really super important to remember that most companies, would be approached with something like this, and they're going to start running numbers and audience retention analysis and blah, 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 blah. But then there's companies like, obviously, Axminster is that. They just want to support the community, and man, those are the people that need our money. Like Joe Strummer said, we vote with our dollars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's a little class shout out, by the way.
Yeah, because one day a 15-year-old girl is going to be.
No.
Oh, bloody hell!
Laffy.
That's going to be a T-shirt, isn't it? Support your 15-year-old girl.
Probably not, Richard. No.
Well, yeah.
Not even close.
Not for people outside of prison.
Okay. Hashtag just saying.
Well, you got one. Better late than never.
That's definitely hashtag too soon.
You know, we probably knew what we were getting into when we invited these assholes to be with us today. But I mean,
Mister,
it's all
Andy,
right.
it might be time for a warning.
It might be time for a warning. Sophie, I only have one question for you. I mean, first of all, hun, I said this to you on Facebook, but I think it's important that you know this. I mean, as gobsmacked as you were and as thankful as you are, you have to know that the people that were involved in helping you get this stuff are even more happy to do it. Because honestly, hun, I can't tell you the last time I cried tears of joy. And trust me, I'm not too manly of a man to say that when I saw you and I saw that video, I was tearing up a little bit. And so I was like, man, this is just friggin' fantastic. I love it. So please understand that it was given with love and that we got a lot out of you getting something as well. But also what I wanted to ask is, you've got the lathe, which is what we all originally pitched in to get, but you've got like somewhere, Steve, was in the neighborhood of like 500 pounds that she has that she can buy accessories
she has
for?
500. She has 500 pounds exactly to spend on what she wants in Axminster store. Yeah, so that's an open ticket to buy whatever she wants to that sum.
So have you opened up a catalog and started picking out things or things of that nature? Because that's what everybody contributed for. They'd like to know what you decided upon if you have.
Yeah, not yet. Yesterday, I think we intended on being there for a short amount of time, and we were there so long. And by the time we left, I was still as gobsmacked as I went. So, but I'll need like the chuck and like the pen making kits, and I probably will pick up a pack of glue sticks. It's got to happen. But yeah, honestly, I just spent all of yesterday afternoon and this morning turning, and it was just the best feeling. I didn't cry there when we were at the store because I think it was too much, too quick, and I was too in shock. But as soon as I got home on the bridge, like my mum was there, the lathe was all set up, I just went crying. And I think actually, Richard, you got a little bit of that crying. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
When Sophie says she'll probably pick up a set of glue sticks, what she actually means, and don't anyone leave this internet. This stays within the internet and the public and everything, and shouldn't get back to the store. But I don't know if you guys can you see that? Or is it too? It might be too bright. I actually have a photograph of Sophie half-inching a packet of glue sticks in the shop, which we'll post later.
Nice. I'm so proud of you right now, so makes me tear up.
That's what they teach the kids these days.
These Wales.
Thanks for everything. Thanks for everything you did for me, Axminster. Rob, steal.
You guys are awesome. Stealing.
Out of the woods, huh? It's out of the woods.
At least it wasn't a bank on a bobblehead that you went after. I mean, at least you can use it.
Yeah, that was the end of Chris's criminal career.
No, not mine. No. I'm not mentioning names, but Laffy can if he'd like to.
I'm not. Nope. No. People who aren't here to defend themselves should not be brought up in these instances.
You're right.
Probably wouldn't like it either.
Yeah.
Use an ear, is he?
No, I don't think he is. So we probably should just leave that alone. Anyway, I'm sorry I brought that up.
Apparently, robbing anything from a bank is some type of offense.
Weird.
Ever.
I kind of want to do it now. I want to like rob one of the little pens. Just I robbed a bank. It's got to be like on a bucket list, I reckon.
Steal a post-it.
You have to ask when you take a leaflet.
No, them
I won't even take those now. The fear has been placed in me. So
grab some post-it notes and make them.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, you can go back through the 100th episodes and find the one with the Maybe podcast guys.
Yeah,
it's one of the two I've seen. So that's
the other one being the one that he was the star of.
Yeah, this will be the
third. Wasn't he also the star with a penis-shaped table?
That was the one he's talking about. That was the phallic-shaped table that we talked about during the Maybe podcast episode that we did. And
you got to wonder if the guy that invented podcasting, if he were to see this show,
he'd be ashamed.
Would he invent it faster, or would he kill himself before he did? You gotta, because one of the two would be true. It wouldn't be the same. It would be he'd either want him quicker, or he'd want to throw himself off a building. So,
well, it was exactly 100 weeks ago when the design team for Google Hangouts were all summarily executed for their product.
So since it is your 100th episode, it might be a good idea to ask the question: of all the 100 episodes you've done, which has been your favorite so far?
Ooh.
Oh, hey, one of us studied for this.
Uh-oh.
I'll take my 2 episodes off. You don't have to say those.
Oh, that leaves us with 98 at least.
Yeah.
I've got one.
Technically 97. This is the 100th.
You know what?
There isn't any that you like.
You know what? Joe, I'm gonna put you on the spot. You go first. I mean, because well, for reasons. I mean, for reasons.
That's my line.
You go first.
It's a tough one, really. It really is a tough one. Probably sentimental reasons. I'd go back to the very first episode, purely because, like, even though we don't have a clue what we're doing now, we really didn't have a clue back then, and it was literally just us getting online and seeing what happened, and that's kind of how each episode has gone on from there. But that was where it all started. So I've got to go with the first episode where it all began.
That was way too safe, dude. I'm calling boo on that.
Too easy.
That was a cop out if ever I heard one.
That was the
Did I
biggest
blag it,
non-answer I've ever heard.
Did I blag it? I think I did. I think I made it through.
No, there's no one falling for it, Joe.
All right. Do any of the hosts have any balls?
For me personally, I think my one was probably got to be when I was the Live from Atlanta show, where I got to sit next to Chris and in the lobby of the hotel in Atlanta.
See, that's how you do it, Joe.
You know what? I don't want to sound like a copycat and a cop out, but I mean, I'm probably going to be, because Mike, I mean, honestly, there are so many. I mean, the episode that we did with you, Mike, is up there. I mean, I just absolutely love that episode that we did with you because I laughed my rear end off for the entire hour because you're hilarious.
Oh, stop! Keep going.
No, I'm not. Hey, Mike, unless I see some nipple, I'm not going any further.
Thank God that stopped.
But you know what? I'm going to agree with Jamie. To an extent, my second favorite episode is one that is probably not even audible because I had the best time of my life doing the Maker Central episode, and that's the episode that you will never hear because of the audio that we had a problem with. But it was just, I don't look at it as, a viewer. As doing something, I had a great time at Maker Central doing that video and doing that episode, and the one in Atlanta is right up there as well. So that would be mine, Mike. I mean, if you ask me.
How terrible is the sound in that? Just out of curiosity.
It's really bad. I mean, you would have to struggle to hear it, and you would get a headache if you actually listen to the entire thing. But we've left it up there because we had no choice, because that's all we had. There was no fixing it. But
I had the most fun watching that one being made, because watching Joe's face just go whiter and whiter and whiter was just it was an emotional crash.
It was wonderful because it was the entire podcast we were trying to do it. Richard's mic crapped out on him, or he couldn't be heard or something. The only person that we could hear at the entire table was Joe. And then Joe realized that and goes, "Oh shoot, I'm in charge of everything." And so Joe did not shut up for an hour because he kept that podcast going for an entire hour. And if you saw the promo that we put out earlier this week about the show, it's the end of that podcast inside the Hilton in Birmingham, and it's Joe throwing his headphones and putting his head in his hands, going, "Oh, thank God, that is over." It wasn't that much of a cluster. It really was.
It was crazy. That clip
it was brilliant.
Perfect. It takes me back every time I see that clip. It's like it's that perfect moment. You want the ground to open up and just swallow you there and then.
Jeez, if I had a dime for every time I've wished that, buddy.
Man, I'm telling you, if you ever want to see epic fail, go watch that podcast, because, and I'm not ashamed of it. I think, hey, we did our best, we tried. It just, we're stupid. We didn't figure it out right. So I'm gonna tell you,
that's basically been my entire podcasting career. We just I do my best. Sorry,
it happened.
This requires so little skill that to do.
Sometimes you just have to fake it.
True. Yeah, sometimes you have to apologize first and apologize later.
I genuinely think, Chris, that next year's Maker Central we should do exactly the same things we did this year, but we only use one microphone.
You know what? You're probably right, and you know what? And we should probably screw it up just as badly, so we have the same kind of memory to come home with. Because if it really goes well and everything seems polished, and you kind of you forget it. But when things go, the way that went, I don't know if I'll ever forget that.
Well, I was going to ask the corollary to that, but Joe, he copped out so quickly on it that I don't know that I was going to ask which one's your least favorite episode, but I couldn't even get him to give me a balls answer on the favorite.
Joe will give you the same answer for that question too.
Yeah, my least favorite was probably the first episode, like when we all like, the actual idea of doing this thing, like. So yeah.
Oh, he's so good.
Mine was mine.
And that's his least favorite because he realized he committed himself and he's here 100 episodes later, and God, he hates me. He's like, sorry for that.
Oh, Jamie, your episode was pretty strong, man. That you went all out.
Yeah.
All right, good talk. It's been a great show.
I actually enjoyed the episodes that we did with because I think we did we do Alan first, or Joe, was it you that we did?
No, Joe was first, then Alan, then Richard, then me. Someone's missing though. I can't think who.
Have we done Jason? We've done Jason, haven't we?
Yeah, we did Jason. We did Jason.
Should have been Chrissy's.
But nobody cares.
Bong.
It's
Public service announcement.
It's just please. All right, Andy.
Reminder:
Please
you are
talk
here of your own free will.
It's the internet version of being a cutter. You did this to yourself.
There you go.
Laffy, you are so wrong, man.
I'm just saying. That's
Remember, you're subjected to yourself to this, and it's not my fault.
So then, enough about our favourite episodes.
Thank
you guys
God we're not live.
You've all been on with us. You've all been guests. You've all been spotlights. Presumably, I mean, obviously, Laffy's going to have his favourite episode as him. Why wouldn't he? But rather than say what was your favourite episode, because that just assumes that you actually listened to the other episodes. But why would you come on with us? That's what I want to know. Why, when we send you a message going, our guest that we've arranged has bailed because they've got common sense, can you do it? And you all said yes.
Jamie mentioned something about a check.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it looks like a green tick.
I know for me, I've always had a bit of a self-abusive tendency. So, I don't really like me. And therefore, I'm always available for you guys anytime, anywhere, because I hate myself.
I think mine was so early on that I just felt sorry for you guys the way it was going. So I said I'd come on and cheer you up a bit.
Well, I always thought where else could you talk to people and no one hear it? So
I was exactly the same from day one.
Yeah. No, you guys. Well, so I'll go because I like the sound of my own voice. But your show and one of the things. First of all, Chris has the sexiest voice I've ever heard. So I'd listen to him read the menu at Applebee's. But tell me about the boneless buffalo whites, please.
Pancakes with scrambled eggs.
Yeah, it moved. So you guys. One of the things I like about people. The whole maker community doing this whole podcast thing is people are, they are who they are. Like the podcasts I listen to the most are folks that are, they're authentic. They come with who they are. They don't put on a show. They just have a good time. It's just guys talking. And when you listen to that, you get to feel like you're part of that conversation. So for you guys, you guys are always just kind of, shooting the crap with each other. And it's a lot of fun to listen to. Because, like I said, it's like hanging around in a bar with a bunch of your buddies, and you get to be part of that conversation. And then when you say, "Hey, come on," you're like, "Oh, well, of course. Why wouldn't I?" It's a chance to have a good conversation, be authentic, and talk to a bunch of dudes that are really interesting. So
it's the invitation is more like, come have a beer with us. We're at the pub. Come on down. So yeah, why not?
This show is what the making community is all about in my mind. It's it's showing the rest of the world what the maker community is, and that's it, and it puts it out there.
Yeah, well, I mean,
and is it time for another public announcement? Is it?
Like I said at the outset too, I have no reputation to ruin. So there's just
reminder: you are here of your own free will.
That's got to be a t-shirt, right?
That could actually be an advantage for doing a podcast. Genuinely, I'm probably overthinking this, but if you haven't got a huge reputation that you want to protect, or you haven't got a massive brand that you want to keep intact, you can afford to just clown around with your mates and be an idiot and just blur. Because what does it matter?
That's why I came on.
Or if you're in self-destruct mode.
That's more like it, because it's never lost on the internet. So you might not have much reputation now, but if you want to make something of yourself someday, then that's always going to be there for all time. So, I've got.
Now that is somebody with ambition talking, because I mean,
thank God he stopped ruining that decent flag.
And God love you for saying it. You know what? I've always, Mike, to get to your point, and I don't know that we do this, and because I don't listen to us as a viewer. Obviously, I mean,
I don't either.
But thanks, Mike. But I mean, when I'm listening to podcasts, and the ones that really compel me are the ones that I want to jump into the conversation. I'll be listening to something, and there'll be a conversation going on, and I get pissed off because I can't get in there and say something on my own and get into the conversation. It's like a lot of podcasts do that to me. I don't know about you guys, but I'll be listening to something, and I really want to chime in with my two thoughts, and not because I think the hosts are missing anything. It's just that I want to chime in too. I get excited about what I'm hearing, and so. A lot of podcasts, and Mike, your podcast, maybe I said too much, does that to me a lot. There are a number of podcasts out there that do that to me, that when I'm listening to them, I want to hop in and go, even if it's just a hell yeah, but I want to add my 2 cents to it. That's when I know the podcast is successful, because it has engaged me that much. And if we've even done that once in 100 episodes, I'd be happy,
Well, and that's the Fools with Tools podcast is actually, I put that on because it's great for nap time. Like, you get 9 minutes, 10 minutes in, and you're just done. Crap right out. Like it's the equivalent of internet ambient. I mean, basically. So.
Yeah, but that's really dangerous when you're standing in front of your lathe.
Well, depends on how you like to party, and I don't judge you. I don't expect you to judge me. By the way, Steve right now is wondering why he didn't come on the show.
Because he's way smarter than we are.
Damn it, I could have been in there. Now they're just making fun of me. Yep, that's how this happened. By the way, I'm wearing a t-shirt that Al designed, and I'm over here crapping all over their podcast because I'm that guy. Just so you know, when you invite me to your party, that's who's coming.
You knew that.
Yeah, you did.
What about you, Soph? What do you...
I thought you just had me on because you needed to, the Welsh community, you have to kind of show.
Hoping you would cry, I think, is what they.
Yeah, there seems to be a theme going on. Like, people want to see me cry all of the time.
Yeah, cry, Soph, will you?
Don't punch her. It's more like happy tears. It's kind of her thing.
Yeah, well, that's it. We're international. We have to get another foreign land to come onto the podcast.
Yeah, you have to get the Welsh on.
That's England, one of the criteria. Live in a country.
You got to get Pam Harris on now, and then we'll have Scotland.
She's been on.
Yeah, but if you had it on now, we'd have the whole of the.
Just because the UK is the centre of the universe, right in the map, right at the top, in the middle.
It's all that matters.
And all the times and works out from us. You're either ahead or behind.
Apart from the States, they're like 5 hours behind.
They're just behind.
Everything.
Just behind. Full stop. Or period.
Truth.
So question for you guys, since apparently I'm the only one who's asking them.
Hey, you got to earn that check this time around.
Thanks. As far as because I've actually had this conversation with our podcast friends at Maybe Podcast on Facebook, by the way. But so you can, knowing now, you've been 100 episodes, you've hopefully learned something. Most of you probably haven't, but would you go back and do anything different with the podcast starting on the first episode, and what would that be?
No, you know what? No, because it's the same way. People ask you that about your YouTube channel all the time, because the first YouTube video ever did was absolute crap. Would I go back and change anything about it? No, because it's the entire process of where you started, and I may have started from crap, but and granted, we may be just a level above the crap now. We may be in the septic tank, floating above the.
Oh, stop! I'm the only self-deprecating person allowed on this show.
Okay, well, all right, Mike. We started out really lousy, but now we're fantastic. I think you need to go through that lousy to fantastics. If we wanted to cut this off, change the name of the podcast, start it all over as a brand new thing, could we start out looking more professional? I doubt it, but we could try. So no, there's nothing I would change personally. I'll let Jamie and Joe and Richard chime in on that, but there's nothing I regret about what we've done. There's some things I will never watch again, but there's nothing I would change about it.
I don't think you ever really want to go back and change anything, because then you miss that progression that you get to be able to see. So you can never be perfect, but if you did start off at a very high level, it's very hard to improve on that. So you'll be looking back and think, we haven't really achieved anything different that we had at the start. Whereas if you start off awful, you don't have to do a lot to make yourself look better 100 episodes on. So there's very little that would ever be changed. No, you just go with the flow. That's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. I'd probably say no Canadians.
I thought that was
really,
part of the
They don't really exist, do they?
I totally agree with Chris. I wouldn't want to. I think if I changed anything, it'd be maybe do a little bit more prep, occasionally. Maybe occasionally do some prep, a little bit.
Any prep at all would be an improvement, Richard. And it's taken 100 episodes and it's still not done. But I have faith.
But then
the fact that you do know prep is the only reason why people watch.
That's probably not too far from the truth, and that was kind of where I was going with it. Because regardless of what we think of ourselves, personally, I've got nothing to prove. I've got very little to gain, but people still, for some bizarre reason, seem to want to watch this for whatever reason. And if somebody else watches it, or those that do watch it enjoy it, then why change it? Because who decides what's better? The people listening. And if you try and change something and people stop listening, then that's not better, even if you think it is. So, that's the great thing about the internet. Do what you like, as long as you're not too crass and too rude, or insult people that they don't kind of get the joke. Just crack on, have fun.
Do what you love what you do.
Ta-da.
Jamie's been watching Pinterest again.
Andy's about to puke live on YouTube.
I'll tell you, I've been guests on a few different podcasts, and I've ranged from full on absolutely, Chris calling 15 minutes ahead of one of these recordings and going, "Hey man, we're in real trouble. Can you come on?" And knowing that I know he's in real trouble because he's calling me.
Oh no!
But ranging from that all the way to I've had podcasts that send, like every week they send like 3 or 4 documents of, this is how the show's progressing and the planning of it. We're about 6 weeks out, and and I got to tell you, the fun ones are the ones where you jump on and turn the mic on, and we just are who we are and have fun with it. And it just seems like, all the way from faking it, that's kind of what we did, Mike, and, maybe, and it's just, that to me is that there's just something about that sort of raw. I know it's never going to win any awards or anything, but man, it's fun.
I'll tell you, just for our show at Maybe Podcast on Facebook, by the way, the one of the things
always selling.
I'm trying to get my viewership past 14, but but yeah, one of the things, the shows that we've actually set up for have been the ones that we've gotten the worst or the lowest feedback on. So it's like, the shows that we've like, okay, we're going to do this. And for the first 20 minutes, we're going to talk about this. Then it's going to be that. The shows that we've had the most fun are like me, Izzy, and Joel. We sign on. Everybody has a couple of drinks before. And then we go, okay, you guys ready? And they're like, yeah. And we hit start. And then, I don't know, 30 minutes later, I'm talking about being abused as a child. And there's tears streaming down my face. And everybody's like, dude, that was deep. I can't believe you went there. It's just like, oh, wow. Yeah, I guess not. But there was never a plan to do that. Just kind of evolved sort of.
That's where the conversation ended up. Now, Gerald, you've been quiet, and we want to hear you because I know you've been on several podcasts, and you're one of our favorites because you've been on with us, I think. And guys, I haven't actually worked this out, but I think Gerald has been our guest as often as Andy Berkey has been our guest on this podcast. I think that you guys are both running neck and neck, and it's somewhere along the lines of 6 or 7 times for each of you've been on. So, Gerald, what are your thoughts? I mean, what's your attraction to not this podcast? Because we're not looking for you to like blow sunshine up our room, because obviously we know it's after midnight. But I mean,
feel free to that.
How do you feel? Because you've been on several podcasts. I mean, how does it feel to get out there and express yourself? I mean, is it something that you enjoy, or what kind of feedback have you gotten from your appearances that you've had?
No.
No.
Well said.
I'm so happy I asked. Never mind. Hey, you can go back on mute now. It's all right.
No, that's not something I really enjoy, because if I don't talk in my videos, it's because I'm not very confident in my English. I'm not very confident of talking in front of people I don't know or I can't see. Because when I was a teacher, I was able to see the people I was talking to face to face. So the reaction was instant.
Instantaneous?
Yeah, I could see them instantaneous. Thanks. But in a podcast, I'm talking to the host and the people listening or watching the podcast. I can see them, I can see the reaction, and talking about me is the real problem, I guess. So talking about the subject is no problem, but talking about me, my work, myself, my life, and stuff, that's something that I don't really enjoy. But spending time with you, chatting with you guys, that's something I really like. So I was not quiet on purpose. I was just enjoying the conversation so far.
We're getting to more. Speak up.
I think that happens a lot in Hangouts in general, not just in podcasting, because there's various ways to podcast, but just when you have like Skype calls or Hangouts or whatever they are, you end up and I do it myself all the time. You just kind of devolve into a listener, not a host or part of the podcast, and then you're taking in what somebody said, and then it's like, now I've got to say something and kind of link it into something else. And I think if you go back through any episode of any podcast, you'll get those moments where actually all of a sudden everyone on the show goes, oh, now we have to say something now. And when they're not, sent off to a production team or post-edited and all that sort of stuff, you can really pick out the guys that are just getting together and having a chat and having a laugh. And that's exactly what you're saying and what we've all done tonight, Gerald. So I'm glad you mentioned that, actually.
No, we just wanted to do the awkward silence thing for you, Richard.
No, that's fine. No worries.
Yeah. Well, and Red, one of the things that, keep this in mind is that the less you share, the more it punishes us, not you. So it's good for you to come on and share, because you're actually, your YouTube channel is awesome. Your social media is awesome. You're an interesting guy. You got great ideas. You do cool things. Like you're into just about everything. So your intellect needs to be shared. And if your English sucks a little bit, no one cares. It's the price of the admission. So I tell people all the time, if you have a chance to do a podcast, do a podcast. If you have a chance to be on one, get on one, because any information you can share is better for the community. It's better for people that want to listen and people that want to find it. And you are a talented, very talented person. And the more you can put out there, the better it is for everybody else. So
and let's face it,
get
your English can't be any worse than Jamie's.
To be honest with you, Gerald, I can understand you about as well as I understand Jamie. So, I mean,
I don't understand any of you guys from overseas. I just keep nodding and wait for my turn to talk.
That is impossible.
And then when Jamie does an accent, it's like, it's Martian to me.
Sounds like somebody painted peanut butter on his teeth and he's trying to lick it off while he's saying things. Oh God,
Dave, the wood barber, is thinking ahead already. He just asked a question. He said, "What plans do you have for the second year show anniversary?"
That's like 5 episodes away, 4 or 5.
I'm not 100% attendance.
We're just going to do this again.
That'll be 105% by then, Jamie.
Well, let's see. There's 52 weeks in a year times 2, 104. So we're at 100. That's 4 episodes away. So we're not doing it. This is as special as we get, folks. This 100. This is as special as it comes. So I don't think 2-year anniversary is gonna be anything even worth talking about, to be quite honest with you. And frankly,
reminder: you are here of your own free will. Thank you.
I'm happy to come back on and tell more about the story when I was a 15-year-old and all I wanted was a lathe. But I could.
You were never 15.
I never got that old mentally. I have children, and when they say the word duty, I laugh out loud. There's no chance for me to grow up.
Well, so I'm going to throw it back to you because you're the only one of us who has been stuck in a pop-up camper, sitting next to Richard, listening to this nonsense the entire podcast. I mean, how are you doing, hon? I mean, what's going on with you?
I'm still completely.
She's a wood turner now.
I am a wood turner now, which is surreal. Still completely gobsmacked about yesterday, but I just want to say, like, Makers International, I think, do a brilliant job. I think what it is about is bringing people together, because you guys as hosts bring yourselves together, but then it's the guests you have on, and then everyone obviously in the live chat as well, they're all talking away about, you know, how they are doing, and it's just a chance for everyone to come together for an hour and just chat and just check everyone's all right, and it's just the best thing.
Yeah, what she said.
Yeah, no,
Gerald, I like it.
Gerald and I have talked
That's what
about
she
this.
said.
Gerald and I have talked about this, that it's really good to see the European community kind of getting their own identity and forming a cohesive community in and of yourselves. I don't know why, but I really get off on that concept of you guys just kind of having your own thing going, and good on you. And I think, you know, it's this podcast is hugely contributed to that. Fools with Tools unbelievably has contributed to something. You know, it's fun to see, and I think you guys are responsible partially for it.
Wait till you come to Mega Central next year, and then you will see. And
yeah, exactly.
Gotta happen.
Well, that may be the best compliment that I think we've had, Andy. And I'll be honest with you, that kind of choked me up a bit, because when we started doing the podcast, the whole Makers International thing, it's like, we had to go to the dictionary to actually come up with that name, because we obviously do not represent the entire world. But we do represent several, different nations of people and makers together that have come together and combined to do a single thing. And so in that sense, it is an international effort. Granted, it's limited to currently Canada, the UK, and the United States. But when we started this, Alan and I started talking, and without even knowing about it, Joe and Richard were talking about doing a podcast as well. And then Alan and I said, you know what, let's do something that's different, because everybody had a three-person podcast that was out there, and they were talking about what they were into, whether it was, reclaimed, whatever, or, it doesn't matter. We just said, in order to, if we're going to do something, we should be different, and we should do something that's going to be beneficial. And so what do you say? And I was talking with Alan. I said, you know what the problem is this, Canada is not recognized with the amount of makers they make. I mean, obviously, there's John Hayes out there, there's Matthias Wandel, but not a lot of people know that they are from Canada. I said the Canada has a identity crisis going on, and then we started thinking about the UK, and I'm going, well, you know what? There are a ton of friggin' awesome makers in the UK. And the first person that Alan and I came up with, just because, I think we were half drunk, was because we went Jamie Page. We got to get Jamie Page on here, because Jamie Page may be the funniest person on the friggin' planet. And if we're going to have a fun podcast, let's get Jamie on here. So we got Jamie involved. And then we were talking with Jamie. We said, Jamie, you know what? What about Joe Whitaker? And then we talked to Joe. And then Joe went, well, guys, to be honest, I mean, I've been talking with Richard, and Richard and I are thinking about doing our own podcast. And then Jamie and Alan and I got back together and said, well, why don't we just have them join us, and we'll do a group effort, and we'll just see where this whole freaking thing goes. And that's how this podcast started. Richard and Joe, and then Jamie and Alan and I got together, and then we started to think about, what, the UK was totally underrepresented. And so having three guys from the UK, a guy from Canada, and the guy from the US made it sound like it was going to be something that we could actually call Makers International, because there were obviously, for whatever reason, if the borders were defined, we had more than the United States involved in this podcast. And so we thought we ought to spread it out. And so from there, we started talking to people from Germany, from Australia, from all over the world. And we kind of brought this in to just let it know that this was not a US-based thing, or just a UK-based thing, or just a Canada-based thing. This happens all over the world, but we can only talk to the people who speak English. It's like, and which makes me question why we asked Jamie on again. I don't remember how we asked him.
Inspiration.
I'll be honest, Chris. I listened to that whole thing hoping that you were actually going to cry at some point throughout the whole.
Me too.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for tears this whole time.
Well, no, there's no tears.
Come on, Chris, do it.
No, there's no tears coming. That's just no. Are you kidding me? I'm almost. Well, if you want me to cry, I'll cry because I'm sad. No. Honestly, that was the genesis of this podcast, and that's why we're here today, and that's why we're here 100 episodes into this darn thing, is because there's a large community out there that is, and the borders that people decided to, define years ago as to this is my country, this is your country, they really don't mean, shit. I mean, we are all just people. And if we can communicate with each other and correspond with each other, and like we were talking about with Gerald earlier about Gerald, you're an extremely talented person. If you've got something to share, we all want to hear it. That is kind of the genesis of where this podcast came from and where we've tried to take it. Now, granted, I don't know that we've been successful, but we've tried.
I'd just like to point out to listeners that for the last 100 episodes, I have been quietly accepting of and putting up with the fact that I was the one that nobody wanted, and I'm only here purely because
and I'd also like to point out that for the last 100 episodes, I've been the one that's been insulted by the one that's not been wanted.
We all deal with these things in different ways, Jamie, and what can I say? Talking of giveaways, haven't we got a giveaway to
yes, we do have a giveaway. The giveaway ends on the 25th of August at midnight UK time. So to enter the giveaway, you go to our website, makersinternationalpodcast.com, go to the challenges and contests drop-down menu and go to huge giveaway. Go to the Glee map and you can win a tub of Yorkshire Grit, microfine, 2 hats, a black one and a white one, and some custom blanks from Pam from Highland Boxes, and a man crafting / Makers International podcast tumbler. Okay, so yeah, that's basically that.
And Richard, and if I can just revisit that, and please go sign it up for that, because we are going to be giving those away. When is that happening? That giveaway happening again, Jamie?
You've got 6 days left. It ends midnight on the 25th of August, UK time.
All right. And Richard, to be honest with you, from my perspective, we never asked you because we didn't think we'd get you.
You're too stuck up.
No, I honestly, I didn't think that you would ever agree to it. But when Joe said that he was involved with you, that was a plus, and that's why when we had our first meeting,
let's clear that up.
that nobody ever.
Reword that, Chris.
Let's go with it more.
I'm just going to scratch my back and hope Laffy bails me out here.
I'm
That was
here to throw you into the
actually
fire and not keep you from getting
night
hurt.
with Joe, and Jamie photoshopped it, so that's fine. It's okay.
No, that is the reason why when we first all got together and we were trying to figure out who's going to host this darn thing, my suggestion was Richard. Anyway, so Richard, don't feel so blue about things. We've got more things. We've got more things to feel blue about tonight because we've only got a few minutes left, and I believe my buddy Joe wants to talk to us about something this evening, and none of us are none too happy about it. But you know what he's got to do? What he's got to do. So Joe, tell us what's going on.
I do indeed, and of all shows to like drop this on everyone, it's like the worst one because we've literally just sat here all night talking about how great the podcast is and how great it is to be involved with it. But at the 100th episode, this is going to be my last official episode as a host on the show. I'd still like to be like available whenever there's like short list of people not being able to make it, and I'm available. I can jump on board like as a guest and stuff like that. But I'm just at a point where I need to be like prioritizing my time onto other things. I'm still living with my mum and dad. I'm trying to find work and trying to make it more of a career. So like the whole making thing and selling it, and it's basically you look at your list of priorities, and when something's got to give, sitting around with these bunch of guys getting drunk on a Sunday night, it's like, well, I'll kick them off. But yeah. Nothing but love out to everybody. Obviously, this community means everything to me. It's just literally a time thing. So I'm still here. I'll still be around, still be supporting the podcast. I won't have an official title of host anymore, I suppose.
So first
Wow,
Mike
we all
turns
wanted
up with
Sophie's and cry, but not that way.
First Mike turns up with clothes on, and now this.
But we'll see. If it was a naked podcast, then I'd still be here.
So you're going to be, you still will be available for other shows.
Thanks, Mike. I feel a lot better now.
Stay, Joe.
So can you do next week, Joe?
Probably not.
What about the
But
week
yeah,
after?
I'll be available and stuff.
Yeah, you got to now you just have to ask Joe every week about 15 minutes before you go live.
Yeah.
All right, Joe, before these guys get to be the assholes that they're about ready to get to be, I just want to say it's been an honor. My friend, thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Honestly, I've enjoyed every minute of it. Every minute.
Without doubt.
Yeah.
So, not the great way to end like the 100th episode. So, sorry.
You'll be missed, Joe.
Yeah, but don't worry. I'll reload and try again.
That's it.
So hold on, who's gonna tell everyone to shut up when it gets past the hour?
I guess
no more evil wife for Richard.
But this is the time to actually reveal that. Like, I've never actually told them to hurry up or anything like that. It's been Chris the whole time.
But you just seem like the reasonable one, Joe. I mean, that's what's blowing my mind right now. I've always considered you to be the single thread of sane, logical thinking in this podcast. I'm just saying. I mean, I consider myself to be a scientific mind. All right. Come on.
Actually, what did you just say?
I think it might be time for a public announcement.
Not only
You are here of your own free will.
well, but you can pretend to be whoever you want.
Oh, Richard, I really think we should probably wrap this up. Joe, honestly, my friend, it has been a pleasure spending the last 100 episodes with you, and I look forward to seeing you again. As you said, you're not actually going to disappear. You're just not going to be here on a regular basis anymore. So, and I wish you luck, my friend. I really do.
Yeah, without doubt.
Yeah, I'm definitely not disappearing.
Well, one thing I know for sure, Joe will make his own luck.
Yes, he will.
I love you, brother.
Yeah.
There are far more, like you said, far more important things in life than getting together and doing this. Because it's not, people think it's just an hour. It's not just an hour. It's all those chats at stupid o'clock in the morning and at night, the half hour before, the half hour after, the uploading, the editing, it is time consuming, whether people realize that or not. It just as doing a video is, and editing and all the rest of it. So you've got other priorities, and they have to take over. One thing that has literally just popped into my head though, you're doing Maker Central, aren't you, next year? Are we going to do a show at Maker Central next year? And if we are, I think Joe should be with us.
I agree.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Purely because I think we can literally get him to have a breakdown during. He was
Just to go through that again.
If we can actually get him to break, then we can all quit, and our job is done.
No, job is done.
Maybe you can give him a lathe.
Oh,
He's
God.
got a lathe that's on the top shelf of his shop.
No, he's just been hired by Ann Summers.
Oh God.
Yeah, that was awesome, by the way.
All right. Well, Joe, you know what? We love you. Richard, wrap this train wreck up because, sorry, I'm the guy on the time now, and I've got to edit this thing now because Joe's leaving. So get it done.
Let's carry on.
So besides Joe's, sad news, it's not all bad. We will be continuing, I'm sure. So, thank you for coming on.
Thank you guys, and thank you again for everything that happened yesterday. Thank you. Love you. Bye.
I think that wraps it up. If you are still listening, thank you very much. If you're not, we'll say what we like about you. Until next week, you take care.
Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.
Take it easy, everybody.
Yeah.